All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Would you please state your name?
Jael Bahamundi.
Okay, and can you spell that, please, for the court reporter?
Sure. First name Jael, last name Bahamundi.
How are you employed, sir?
I am currently employed as a police officer in the city of Lawrenceville Police Department.
Is Lawrenceville contained within the county of Gwinnett?
Yes, sir.
And is that in Georgia?
Yes, sir.
Where does that sit in Georgia in relation to the city of Atlanta?
Probably 40 minutes northeast of Atlanta.
Would it be fair to describe it as a suburban area that is associated to Atlanta?
Yes.
And Atlanta is a different county?
It would be Fulton County.
And what is your position with Lawrenceville PD?
My position currently is patrol officer.
And officer, are you certified under state of Georgia guidelines as a law enforcement officer?
Yes, sir.
Have you attended a police academy?
Yes, sir.
And do you maintain annual certification, qualifications, and training?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to call your attention back to the summer of 2024. Were you employed at that time by a different law enforcement agency?
Yes, sir.
What agency was that?
The Gwinnett County Police Department.
Okay, so Gwinnett County Police Department, would that be a county agency?
Yes, sir.
And Lawrenceville is a city that is contained within that county?
Yes, sir.
When you were working specifically in June of 2024 with Gwinnett County, what was your position with that agency?
My position with that agency, I was assigned to West Precinct Uniform Division as a regular patrol officer.
So I'm going to call your attention to June 26 of 2024. Were you on duty with Gwinnett County PD in the early morning hours, approximately 3?
I patrolled unincorporated Norcross.
Was that in the West Precinct of the agency?
Yes, sir.
And Norcross, is that also a city that's contained within Gwinnett County?
Yes, sir.
Around that time, did you become involved in this case?
Yes, sir.
Did Gwinnett County have a contract or some kind of an association with Flock license plate recognition or reader system?
Yes, sir.
And was there a Flock system installed in Gwinnett County?
Yes, sir.
Did that system have multiple cameras that were mounted at different locations throughout the county?
Yes, sir.
Did that include the Norcross area?
Yes, sir.
Did it include the area you were patrolling that early morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At some point, did either you or someone in your squad that you were patrolling with receive some type of an alert that drew your attention?
Yes, sir.
And what kind of an alert did you receive, or did someone else receive?
We received an alert on the Flock system of a stolen vehicle. It turns out when we ran it through GCIC and CIC, it was a felony vehicle out of, I believe, Tampa Police Department.
Okay. So it wasn't stolen, it was actually what was described as a felony vehicle?
Yes, sir. The system, I guess, just put it out as a stolen vehicle to give us alert at first.
Right.
And then GCIC and CIC determined it was a felony vehicle.
Okay. So once you get the alert, do you then do a confirmation, or did someone else, another officer, do some type of a confirmatory search through NCIC?
Yes, sir.
And that's a national database?
Yes, sir.
And is that when you located an alert that had been placed by another law enforcement agency?
Yes, sir.
Was that the Tampa Police Department?
Yes, sir.
And was that for well, you said Flock had described it as a felony vehicle?
So Flock described it as a stolen vehicle with the picture, but the NCIC, GCIC hit was felony vehicle.
Okay. And the vehicle, was it a silver in color Chevy Cruze?
Yes, sir.
And the Flock system, does it access those same databases, NCIC, and in this case, GCIC, which would be a Georgia database?
Yes, sir.
In your patrol that evening or that early morning, did you have a supervisor that was patrolling in the area with you?
I did.
Who was that?
His name is Lieutenant Cheek.
And were you patrolling in a marked patrol cruiser?
Yes, sir. I had a marked Gwinnett County Police Department Ford Taurus with a light bar and siren.
Okay. Those were your emergency lights?
Yes, sir.
And were you in that vehicle by yourself, or did you have a partner with you?
I was alone in that vehicle.
So Lieutenant Cheek, was he in his own vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And was there another officer that became involved in this investigation that began this early morning?
Yes, sir. It was Officer Walters.
And could you communicate with them through inner radio systems between your cars without having to go through dispatch?
Yes, sir.
And did you do that?
Yes, sir.
How were you uniformed that early morning?
I was wearing the uniform of the day. It was a French blue uniform with Gwinnett County Police Department patches on both sides and a badge and a police belt.
Okay. And on your police belt, did you have a duty weapon, a service weapon?
Yes, sir.
Was that a pistol?
Yes, sir.
Did you also have non-lethal weapons such as a taser or an asp?
Yes, sir. I had a Taser 7 at the time and a baton.
And when I said an asp for the court reporter, that's ASP. Are you familiar with that type of baton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this would be a standard patrol uniform you were wearing
Yes, sir.
with insignia and a badge?
Yes, sir.
Were you also equipped with a body camera or body-worn camera?
Yes, sir.
And where was that mounted on your person?
So for the Gwinnett County Police Department, we had camera mounted on our shoulder with the recording box on our belt.
Do some agencies mount the camera center chest?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you all checked NCIC and GCIC after that flock alert, was that also to make sure this wasn't some type of a misread by the flock system
Correct.
before you start searching for the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did either you or the other officers attempt to contact the Tampa Police Department?
Lieutenant Cheek ultimately made contact with the Tampa Police Department.
And were inquiries made concerning who may possibly be driving that vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Were you at some point provided a photograph of an individual?
At the course of investigation, yes. I believe at one point I was.
Okay. And was that Rashad Murphy?
Yes.
Did you and the other and where did you search generally?
So based on the last flock hit, we ended up getting on 85 North all the way up to 316. And then we got into, I believe, unincorporated city of Duluth, unincorporated Duluth. And we just had no luck in those general areas.
Did you at some point come back down I-85? Let me ask you real quick, for those of us that don't know. Interstate 85, is that a main or major interstate in Georgia?
Yes, sir.
Does it, is its direction of its placement, if you're leaving Georgia heading north, would it be northeast?
So, yeah, if you take 85 North, it'll go all the way north of Georgia. At one point, it'll split into 316 to go to parts of Duluth, to the city of Lawrenceville, and I believe at one point, if you take it far enough, you'll go to Athens.
Did your search bring you back down to a highway that is named Jimmy Carter Highway at some point?
Yes, sir. Jimmy Carter Boulevard.
Jimmy Carter Boulevard, excuse me. During this time period, was at least one of you continuing to monitor flock for additional hits on flock?
Yes, sir. I believe we all were.
Okay. And when I say hits, is that where the flock system is picking up the vehicle's tag as it's traveling through the view of one of the flock cameras?
Yes, sir.
At some point, did either you or the other officers find information that associated the vehicle to a hotel?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember the name of the hotel?
I believe it was the Baymont Hotel.
And where was that located?
5945 Oak Parkway.
Okay. And that parkway, is that a parkway that runs near I-85?
Yes, sir.
Is it, for lack of a better term, an access road or some kind of a parallel running road? A service road, I believe it may be called.
It's basically just a parallel road. Oak Grove Parkway has, the Baymont Hotel is one of 3 hotels on that stretch, and just business complex that'll attach, the road will attach you to Jimmy Carter Boulevard, and if I remember correctly, Indian Trail, Wilburn Road.
So after receiving that flock information that associated the silver Chevy Cruze to that hotel, did you and the other officers then travel somewhere?
Yes, we ended up traveling to the Baymont Hotel, 5945 Oak Grove Parkway.
And when you arrived there, did Lieutenant Cheek or the other officer, did they actually go inside the hotel?
Yes, Officer Walters and Lieutenant Cheek went inside the hotel and made contact with the lady at the desk.
Okay. And where were you during that time period?
I was on my way to the hotel.
Did you ever go inside yourself at that time?
When they made contact with the initial contact with the lady, no, I came while they were talking to her.
Okay. Did Lieutenant Cheek, without telling me what information he relayed to you, but did he relay to you any information he may have learned from the hotel clerk?
Yes.
Now, where did you all go after being at the hotel? What'd you do next?
We left the hotel and we went to a nearby business warehouse complex parking lot.
Okay. And what did you do there?
We waited to gather more resources and to potentially see if the vehicle was going to come back at the direction of the hotel.
So going forward into the morning to approximately 6:30 in the morning, was there more activity on the flock system?
Yes, sir.
And did that activity indicate that the vehicle had been spotted by a flock camera somewhere that made you believe it may be traveling towards the Baymont Hotel?
Yes, sir.
Based on that information, did you and Lieutenant Cheek and Officer Walters, did you respond to the Baymont Hotel?
Yes, sir.
When you and Lieutenant Cheek arrived at well, let me ask you first of all, who's in front of who here?
So at this point, getting the alerts from Flock and Lieutenant Cheek seeing the vehicle pass in front of him, I believe Lieutenant Cheek was in front of me in his patrol vehicle. Correction. I was behind Officer Walters, so it would have been Lieutenant Cheek, Officer Walters, and then me.
Okay. Ultimately, you arrive at the Baymont Hotel,
Yes, sir.
and does Lieutenant Cheek enter the parking lot?
Yes, he enters the farther driveway, farther away from me.
All right. And do you enter the drive or into the parking lot?
Yes, sir.
When you drive into the parking lot, do you see something that draws your attention?
Yes, sir.
And let me back up a little. So we're now 6:40, about 6:40?
Around there.
6:35, 6:40 in the morning, and this is in June. Is the sun up at this point, or is it light outside?
I saw the vehicle of interest bearing the Florida tag that we were looking for.
The silver Chevy Cruze?
Yes, sir.
And where did you see it?
I saw it pull into the Baymont and go into a parking spot.
What did you do?
At that point, I got behind the vehicle and I activated my emergency equipment, my lights, and from there, I just got behind it.
You got behind it? All right. So the spot that it's pulling into, is this a spot that's near the building itself of the hotel?
Yes, sir. It's that parking spot runs parallel with the hotel.
All right. And when the person pulls into the spot, when the Chevy Cruze pulls into that spot, do they actually make it in and park?
Yes, sir.
So what is in front of that car at that point?
Sidewalk and the hotel building itself.
Okay. And do you pull in behind the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And do you pull in such a way as to block the vehicle from being able to exit the parking space?
Yes, sir.
Now I want to talk to you about your body-worn camera. Was your body-worn camera activated at some point?
Yes, sir.
Did it activate in unison with the emergency lights, or did you press it to activate it? I'm sorry, you had it mounted on your shoulder, you said. How was it activated?
So the box sits on my belt, the camera is on my shoulder. I activated it way prior to turning my lights on. So I believe, if I remember correctly, I activated it either on the road going to the Baymont or in the parking lot.
So the camera would have picked up and recorded part of your route to the hotel?
Yes, sir.
Would it have picked up you pulling into the hotel
Yes, sir.
and then driving through the parking lot to this vehicle where it's parked?
If I remember correctly, correct.
Okay. And you've seen that, that part of the recording from your body-worn camera?
Yes, sir.
Did you have your siren on?
I believe not.
So you pull up behind this car. Tell the jury what happens next.
So once I pulled up behind the vehicle, I saw a male step out of the driver's side door. I pulled my department-issued pistol out at the time and gave verbal commands, at which point the male decided to flee, which then prompted me to pull my Taser 7 out and deploy it towards the male.
Okay. So let me back that up a little bit and kind of go through in a little more detail. So you see that person exiting the driver's side or the driver's seat?
Yes, sir.
Driver's door?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And are you parked in such a way that your driver's door would be, I guess if the two cars were parked in unison back to back, you would be on the same side as his driver's door?
Yes, sir.
All right. When you see him exiting, are you already in the process of exiting, or do you start to exit after you see him exiting his car?
I believe we simultaneously, we exited our vehicles at the same time.
All right. And when you exit your vehicle, in light of this investigation and the nature of it, do you draw some weapon?
Yes, sir.
You said you drew your service pistol?
Yes, sir.
And can you show the jurors how you drew it?
You want me to stand up? Or?
You can, yeah, that's fine. Is that okay, Your Honor, if he stands to show the jury? Yes, sir, go ahead.
So I sat on my head, obviously, like normal patrol. Pulled it out with one hand and grabbed both. Pulled the gun, grabbed it with both hands, essentially.
Okay, and are you pointing it at him?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And at some point while you're doing that, you said you're giving him verbal commands?
Yes, sir.
And what are the verbal commands?
I believe I told him to show me his hands. I don't remember the other verbal commands.
Okay. And did he show you his hands?
He did not put him up or any. Well, correction. I can't remember if he put him up or anything, but no movement significantly to go all the way up was made.
And was he looking at you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you describe him for the jury, please?
Yes, he is sitting to the right in the black suit with the dreads.
Okay. To my left, right over here?
Yes.
Okay. So he would be the third person down? Is that right?
Yes.
You can see, okay, can you see?
No, I can't see that person.
Okay,
right there.
all right.
But yes, it'll be the third person to your left.
Okay. And he has on a black suit,
Yes, sir.
black shirt?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness is identified defendant Rashad Murphy.
The record shows so reflects.
And after giving him those commands, you said that he turned and ran?
Yes, sir.
So when he ran, is he running in a direction that is opposite of you?
Yes,
Okay. So he's not running past you or anything like that?
correct. He is not
All
running
right.
past me. He was running away from me.
So when he runs, you had mentioned that there is a curb, a sidewalk maybe, and some grass, and then the building. Where does he run in relation to the hotel itself?
So he started running from the side of the hotel towards the back of the hotel.
So this spot that he is parked in, you said that it is on the side of the hotel?
Yes, sir.
All right, so these are spots that would be perpendicular to the wall of the hotel, facing the hotel?
Yes, sir.
When he takes off on foot, what do you do?
I gave chase and chased him as well.
On foot?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you said at some point you deployed your taser.
Yes, sir.
Now, where was your taser at that time? Where was it mounted?
At the initial contact, it was still holstered, crossbody style on my belt. And once I deployed it I unholstered it with my left hand at that point to deploy it.
Okay. So when you indicate crossbody, you're right-handed?
Yes, sir.
Your pistol is on your right hip?
Yes, sir.
So to be crossbody, would the taser be somewhere over here?
Yes, sir. It would be on my left hip.
On your left hip? On the opposite side of your firearm?
Yes.
So to draw it, do you have to, is the handle facing forward? Do you have to grab it with your right hand?
Yes, that is the preferred method to grab it with the right hand, crossbody style. But given the situation, I successfully could draw it with my left hand facing outward.
Is that what you did?
Yes, sir.
And while you were drawing the taser, what did you do with your pistol?
I was trying to holster it simultaneously.
Okay. And are you continuing while you're chasing him on foot to give him verbal commands?
If I remember correctly, yes.
What were the verbal commands?
Probably stop running. I just can't remember off the top of my head right now.
Okay. And when you're giving these commands, are you giving them in a tone of voice that to assure yourself that he can hear you?
Yes.
So you're yelling? Would
Yes.
that be a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
All right. And at some point you said you deployed the taser.
Yes, sir.
So I want to talk to you about a taser. You said you had a Taser 7.
Yes, sir.
Is that a model number?
Yes, sir.
Is Taser a company that makes a taser?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you receive, or did you receive at that time through Gwinnett County PD, did you receive annual qualification or training in the use of the taser?
Yes, sir.
Did you have to have that training before you could carry it?
Yes, sir.
And through that training, did you learn how the taser operates and how to use it to try to get effect through that taser?
Yes, sir.
Ultimately, by use of the taser, what is it that you are trying to do with the taser?
So with the taser, we were taught to split the belt line to get good connection from either the stomach area to a leg in order to achieve neuromuscular incapacitation.
All right. So I'll come back to the splitting part of it. Are there cartridges that are associated to the taser?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain that?
So the cartridges hold the wire and probes that are connected to the taser. Upon deployment, they just separate and go towards the person.
All right. And are they propelled by some small charge of some kind?
I would believe so.
Okay. And you mentioned probes and you mentioned wires. So the cartridges, do they each, since you were talking about split the belt line, are you talking about 2 probes that are being fired?
Yes, sir. Each cartridge has 2 probes connected with wires to the taser itself.
Okay. So the probes are connected, and as they travel, the wire travels with it, but it stays connected to the taser?
Yes.
The taser receiver itself, does it have a handle similar to a gun or a pistol?
Yes, sir.
Does it have a trigger?
Yes, sir.
And you said that you fired 1 cartridge or activated or deployed 1 cartridge with its associated prongs towards Mr. Murphy?
Yes, sir.
As he was running?
Yes, sir.
Now, that first deployment, do you believe that the probes made contact?
I believe probably one of them did. The other one, if I remember correctly, it probably bounced off or hit something else.
To be effective, does the taser have to have both probes make contact with the body?
Yes, sir.
Are the probes designed to lodge in the human skin?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are they designed to go any further than that?
No, sir.
Just to lodge in the skin?
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned splitting the belt, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that so that you can establish an electrical circuit through the body?
Yes, sir.
So without the second prong hitting, you're not going to be able to establish that circuit?
Correct.
And you wouldn't be able to establish neuromuscular incapacitation?
Correct.
Okay. So did you continue to chase the suspect as he ran, Mr. Murphy?
Yes, sir.
Did he at some point fall?
Yes, sir.
And when he fell, and did he fall on grass or concrete, or do you remember, or asphalt?
When he fell, it was initially on the sidewalk going to the blacktop of the parking lot.
Okay. So you had said he ran down kind of around the corner of the building, and now is he running down the back side of the building?
Yes, sir.
And on the back side of the building, are there parking spaces?
Yes, sir.
Are they situated in the similar fashion as the one that he had parked in,
Yes, sir.
where they're facing towards the back of the hotel perpendicular?
Yes, sir. It had spots lining up against the hotel, and then spots lighting up the fence wall.
When he fell, once he was on the ground, did you see him doing something that drew your attention?
Yes, sir.
What was that?
It appeared that he was trying to plant his arms to get back up and try to run again.
When you saw that, what did you do?
I deployed my second cartridge of probes.
And did the probes make contact with Mr. Murphy?
They did.
And how does the electrical impulse work? Do you have to wait for them to contact and then do a second stage where you actually send that electrical impulse, or is that some kind of automatic function?
It's an automatic function. It gives I believe, correction. It gives a 5-second runtime on the deployment.
And in this case, when you deployed the second cartridge and the probes made contact, did it in fact give that electrical impulse?
Yes, sir.
Did it appear to have effect?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to catch up to Mr. Murphy?
Yes, sir.
And around that time or shortly thereafter, within seconds, did other officers come to the scene to aid and assist you?
Yes, sir.
Would that have included Lieutenant Cheek?
Yes, sir.
And Officer Walters, was he also there?
Yes, sir.
At some point, were you trying to establish control of Mr. Murphy?
The officers, yes. The Lieutenant Cheek and Walters were trying to place Mr. Murphy in handcuffs. Of course, I had my taser out, and I still had to successfully finish holstering.
Okay.
But yes, they were trying to place Mr. Murphy in handcuffs.
While they were doing that, were they giving verbal commands to him?
Yes, sir.
And at one point, did Lieutenant Cheek actually place his gun to Mr. Murphy's head,
Yes, sir.
the muzzle end of his gun, to try to gain compliance?
Yes, sir.
Did it appear that Mr. Murphy was struggling?
I couldn't necessarily tell you completely, as they were trying to place him under arrest. I didn't physically place my hands on Mr. Murphy. I just still had my taser out while they were trying to put him in handcuffs.
So at some point, were they able to get handcuffs on Mr. Murphy?
Yes, sir.
Where did they handcuff him?
With his hands
Was it behind his back or in front of his body?
behind his back.
Okay. And was he at some point lifted up to his feet?
Yes, sir.
And was he walked somewhere?
Yes, sir. He was walked to a patrol vehicle.
Was he searched?
If I remember correctly, yes.
All right. Now, did it come to your attention that one of your prongs that you had fired at him had actually struck part of his genitals?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And later was Mr. Murphy transported to a local hospital to deal with that?
Yes, sir.
And let me just ask, was that your intent?
Absolutely not.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state would tender state 63A as in alpha through through I as in India for admission.
Any objection? Okay, any objection, Mr. Sonari, Mr. Wise? Mr. Petridis? Admitted. And are you ready, are these photos or a video?
This is photographs, Your Honor.
Okay.
There's also video.
Yes. There will be video also, Your Honor.
Okay, so after we go through the photos with this witness, we'll take a quick recess,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you. Publishing 63A. Officer, is that a photograph of Mr. Murphy after he was taken into custody?
Yes, sir.
Where is he sitting?
He's sitting in the back of a marked Gwinnett County Police Ford Explorer.
Is the vehicle still parked in the parking lot of the hotel?
Yes, sir.
And are those the clothes that Mr. Murphy was wearing when you chased him and he was taken into custody?
Yes, sir.
State 63B, do you recognize that photograph?
Yes, sir.
What is that a photograph of?
That is the vehicle Mr. Murphy exited that we were looking for that morning.
State 63D, is that another photo of the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
State 63E, same vehicle?
Yes, sir.
'63G, same vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Just gonna zoom in. And the tag number 30BNRI?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct? That's it for the photographs, Judge.
Okay, very good. All right, members of the jury, 10:28, we'll take a quick 10-minute morning recess, and then we will resume the testimony this week.
All rise.
Yes, of course.
All jurors are out there.
Okay, very good. Officer, since you have not yet been cross-examined on the break, you're welcome to step down. You just can't talk to anybody, including the state, about anything related to this case, okay?
Can I get water?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just be back in 10, okay? Walking in, all defendants are present. Witness is back on the stand, so let's go ahead and bring in our jury.
One direction, ma'am.
Okay.
Just need to push the button. Which I can do whenever you're ready.
Oh, I see.
Because it's not, I didn't want to publish it before.
So I need to switch it over from home, right?
All jurors are out there.
Okay, very good. Welcome back. Everyone have a seat. And Mr. Harmon, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. State Publishing 63B, we were just looking at these photographs, Officer. After Mr. Murphy was detained, did you at some point have occasion to go back to the Chevy Cruze, maybe with other officers, and look into the interior of the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And did you see a cell phone in the interior of the vehicle, maybe near the shifter or near the center console?
Yes, sir.
And was the cell phone open?
Yes, sir.
And was it running?
Yes, sir.
Was it running on an app?
Yes, sir.
Was that the Maps app?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, we would tender states 64 and states 143 for admission into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, Mr. Sonardi?
No objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Wise?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Petridis? Okay, they'll be admitted.
Officer, does that appear to be an image from video recorded by your body-worn camera that morning?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to go ahead and publish this, Your Honor. And is that one of the officers in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Are you entering the hotel at this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you were in, after you had entered the hotel parking lot and before you stopped the car, it appeared in the camera or view of the camera that you were doing something with your radio.
Yes, sir.
What were you doing with the radio?
I was trying to give out to the officers on scene that the car was parking up. Unfortunately, my battery was dead, so nothing was transmitted.
Your Honor, we're going to publish 143, states 143.
Okay.
Officer, does that appear to be a video recording from a camera mounted on the hotel
Yes, sir.
of the same incident?
Yes, sir.
Same date and time?
Yes, sir.
Did it appear to you that Mr. Murphy may have started to put his hand up and then turned and ran?
Honestly, I was possibly, but he just escalated so quickly that I was more focused on whether a gun was going to be produced or anything like that.
So we saw another officer pull up not too long.
Yes, sir.
That would have been after you pursued on foot.
Yes, sir.
At some point after Mr. Murphy was taken into custody, did you ask him what his name was?
Yes, sir.
What was his response?
He said no, and then when I asked for his name again, he said, "Y'all already knew my name."
You already know my name. Okay. Did Lieutenant Cheek, after Mr. Murphy was taken into custody, did he contact law enforcement here at the Tampa Police Department to notify the agency down here that he had been detained, taken into custody?
If I believe so, yes.
After Mr. Murphy was taken into custody, at some point later in the morning, did you respond to a location inside of the hotel?
Yes, sir.
And were there day shift officers on scene at that point?
Yes, sir.
And were they staged around one of the hotel room doors?
Yes, sir.
And did you assist them in making contact with someone in that room?
Yes, sir.
And at some point, did a young woman come out of the room?
Yes, sir.
And was she later identified as Charmaine Steiger?
Yes, sir.
And was she later escorted to a patrol vehicle in the parking lot of the hotel?
Yes, sir.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'll tender the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, can I use the assistance of Mr. Lane with regard to the video?
Assistance of who?
Mr.
Yes,
Lane?
yes,
That's
of course. And are you gonna be using the exhibits?
Judge, I am going to be using Exhibit 64. Can we approach briefly?
Yep. So, the exhibits, once they've been admitted. Come on up.
Good morning, officer.
Good morning, sir.
And it's Officer Bahamundi, correct?
Bahamundi, yes, sir.
So, officer, I think you testified earlier that you received a notification on the flock system with regard to this vehicle, silver Chevy Cruze, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it originally came in as a stolen vehicle, but then somehow, as you looked a little further during the course of you traveling during your patrol time, that it became a felony vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, and what that means to you is that it's a vehicle that may be involved in a felony situation somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Does it indicate to you where that originates from,
The
the
reporting agency was Tampa Police Department.
Okay, so that's what it shows, reporting agency, that's the origin of the alert.
It showed that, and it showed other information on the hit.
Okay, and what would it show on the case? What did it show on the case?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember. I believe it said seal for evidence or use caution with the vehicle, some sort along those matters.
And it was the vehicle that was on your radar, or that was part of the alert, correct? That was the information that was given you, was information on a vehicle, correct?
Yes, on GCIC, NCIC, when I ran the plate out of the Florida database or national database, that's what it showed.
And it doesn't provide information as to the registered owner of the vehicle or who the vehicle is associated with, none of those type of things.
It would have told me the registered owner, but I can't remember the registered owner.
And that obviously didn't mean anything to you at that time, correct?
Correct.
And the registered owner of that vehicle was not Rashad Murphy, correct?
I can't remember if he was or wasn't.
Well, if it would have been Rashad Murphy, that registered owner, would you think you might have remembered that as a person that you were looking for associated with that vehicle?
Sure.
And at that point in time, as you attempted to locate that vehicle, you had no name or description of a person associated with that, correct?
I believe Lieutenant Cheek did provide me of a name of a potential subject.
Okay. That subject was not Rashad Murphy, was it?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
And when you came to find out, and Mr. Officer Bahamundi, are you referring to your report?
Yeah, I was just checking my report, yes, sir.
Well, so when you look at your report, you're attempting to refresh your recollection, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you just need to tell us you're doing that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just, if you need to refresh your recollection, just let us know. You need to take a look at your report, refresh your recollection, then once your memory is refreshed, then you can continue testifying.
My apologies.
No worries.
And do you recall, without me showing you the video, which I may show you the video again, the SUV that was a law enforcement vehicle that was in front of you? Do you recall that when you look at the dash cam or the body camera footage?
Yes, sir.
Do you know who that was?
I believe it was Lieutenant Cheek.
So Lieutenant Cheek was making his way as well into the hotel area.
Yes, sir.
So he had not been there yet. You guys were still trying to locate this vehicle, and both of you were going into the hotel property at the same time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is Lieutenant Cheek on that video, or did Lieutenant Cheek go to the actual hotel?
You're asking about when we went to make contact with Rashad Murphy?
Well, when you went to go make contact with the vehicle, right? That's what your body camera is going to show, you coming upon this vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there were a couple of other officers that ended up on the video.
Yes, sir.
Do you know if one of those, without me showing it to you, which I will, was Lieutenant Cheek, or did Lieutenant Cheek go to the hotel office?
Lieutenant Cheek was on the video, like we just saw, was the first officer to try to go hands-on with Rashad Murphy.
Okay. And you keep referring to him as Rashad Murphy. That's someone you later determined to be Rashad Murphy, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you came in contact with the vehicle, and your intent was to secure it pursuant to the alert, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you blocked it in, so if the person that was inside of it attempted to leave, there would be no means to do so, correct?
Correct.
And if I recall the video, Mr. Murphy gets out, well, a person that you now know to Mr. Murphy gets out, and you, at that time, instantly raised your firearm and pointed at him, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall exactly what you told him?
Initially, it probably like, let me see your hands.
And that would be an attempt at your best recollection of what occurred, correct?
Yes, sir.
So the minute that this individual, Mr. Murphy, sees the firearm pointing at him, he turns and he runs from you, correct?
Yes, sir.
As he runs, you are in pursuit. Who else, if anyone, at that particular moment is in pursuit? Because you don't have the ability to radio, right? Because your radio's dead.
Correct.
So is there anyone else in pursuit at that time as well?
Behind me, no. It was just me. Lieutenant Cheek was on the other end of the parking lot. and so was Officer Walters.
Do they have any idea that you are in pursuit?
So in the video, you also see me hold another microphone. That's the in-car communication radio from car to car or like broadcast to radio dispatch. I probably said like that he was parking up or some of the matter like that.
Would someone have to be in their car in order to receive that?
To hear it, yes, or it could have been heard by radio dispatch if they have their settings turned correctly on their computer.
But dispatch wouldn't be able to relay it to anybody else unless they were in their car, correct?
Unless they were tuned into the same channel, correct?
So you get to the corner and you deploy your taser, correct?
Yes.
And tell me again what your testimony was about the effect of the deployment of that taser at that time?
Yeah, so my initial deployment of the probes, my first 2 probes, one did connect, the other one did not connect. Once Rashad Murphy fell, I deployed a second set of probes.
So, and I want to just make sure that you later determined to be Rashad Murphy, correct?
Yeah, yes.
And so when one probe connects and one doesn't, does the taser still have the ability to neutralize someone?
When only one probe hits?
Yes.
No.
Well, Mr. Murphy went to the ground, correct?
Correct.
So is it your suggestion that he went to the ground for some reason other than the taser strike?
Correct.
And were you able to tell why he went to the ground?
Probably fell or his pants were falling. I can't remember right now.
And when he fell on his back, correct?
Yes.
Exposing the frontal portion of his body.
Yes.
What did you do then?
I deployed my second cartridge.
And you deployed it a second time for what reason?
To try to achieve neuromuscular incapacitation.
And at that particular time, do you know, had you holstered your service weapon?
I can't remember at that particular time.
So it might
I believe I was trying to.
it might have still been in your hand, correct?
Correct.
And when you deployed the second time, did both probes make contact with the body?
Yes, sir.
What occurred when that happened?
I achieved neuromuscular incapacitation.
And when you did that, I think it was your testimony that one of those probes struck Mr. Murphy in his private parts, correct?
Correct.
When you deployed the taser the second time, he was on the ground, was he not?
In attempts to, from my perspective, it appeared that he was attempting to plant both hands and try to get back up and run.
And that would be from his backside, with
Yeah,
his
like-
backside on the ground.
Yeah, like just lifting yourself off the ground.
Soon thereafter, other officers were on the scene, correct?
Yes, sir.
And was it Lieutenant Cheek that put his gun on Mr. Murphy's temple?
Yes, sir.
Was Mr. Murphy resisting in any respect? He was incapacitated, wasn't he? For the most part.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, yeah, neuromuscular incapacitation occurred.
And when that does occur, it would severely impair someone's ability to either resist or continue to run. Would you agree with me that deployment carries that type of restraint?
Yeah, it would be a 5-second charge, like run time on the taser. So for those 5 seconds, if I did land successful neuromuscular incapacitation, it would essentially just lock the body up for 5 seconds.
You didn't try to identify him or ask him his name at that particular junction, correct?
Correct.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
I don't have anything further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Sonardi?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions, Mr. Wise?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Petrides? Okay, redirect.
State's redirect, Your Honor.
Yes.
Officer, you were asked questions about the actual physical hands-on by Lieutenant Cheek and maybe other officers there after Mr. Murphy had been tased?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if I understand your testimony right, the neuromuscular incapacitation, that is temporary, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And in the video, can you see him still moving after that stops, the electrical impulse?
Correct.
So, also, in the investigation by yourself and Lieutenant Cheek into why this vehicle was wanted, were you made aware that this was based on a felony involving a homicide?
Yes, sir.
Were you made aware that firearms were utilized in a homicide?
Yes, sir.
And at that point, could you tell, had you had an opportunity to pat Mr. Murphy down before Lieutenant Cheek is putting the muzzle of that gun to his head to see if he had any weapons?
No, sir.
So you didn't know if he may have a weapon under his shirt or somewhere on his body?
No, sir.
And would Lieutenant Cheek have any reason to know that?
No, sir.
All right, I have nothing else, Your Honor.
Okay.
One follow-up, Your Honor?
Yep. One.
Officer, Mr. Murphy's pants were down almost to his knees when he was on the ground when he was tased, correct? That's the reason how it caught him in a private part, because his pants were below his knees.
Yes, sir.
Nothing further.
Okay, very good. You can sit down, hang around though, because you may have to come back on this.
Judge, officer can be released,
Oh, okay, never mind. You're free to go?
Thank you.
at least as it relates to the defense.
Yeah. I'm assuming the state feels the same way.
Oh, yes.
Okay, very good. All right, who's the next witness?
Detective Angela Carter.
Okay?
Judge, that would,
Oh, okay. All right, I need to talk with the attorneys about something real quick, so if you all could just please, step into the jury room, we'll be with you momentarily.
All rise.